Welcome everybody. I'm excited. It's a brand new month here. It's a brand new day. And we have an awesome educator here today. And not just an educator, but a musician. His name is Tyler Wertman. But before that, welcome to Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation's Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions. I'm your host, Michael Cernotto, and our topic is today, a trombone approach to when the Saints go marching in. This is what you've been waiting for, folks. And guess what? We have the best person to do it with us. I mean, I know you've seen him in New Orleans. You've seen him in Tampa Bay. I mean, and you've heard him play all of these songs, especially when the Saints go marching in. So before we start, I want to remind you, first of all, thank you for joining us live, all you guys. We love interaction. We would love to hear your questions and comments. So there's this little feature in there called chat. Just go in there, type out your question. We're going to leave some time for our expert educator to answer it to the best of their ability. Also, it would not be possible for us to do what we do without our wonderful sponsors. So please be sure to check out the studio archives of our past video sessions at clearwaterjazz.com's education and outreach section. And that's brought to you by Blue Water Wealth Management at Stewart Partners and Duke Energy, as well as our Young Lions podcast available wherever you stream. And that's brought to you by our friends at Marine Max Clearwater. So just search Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions wherever you stream. I want to jump right into this. You've seen Tyler give us these great presentations on basic trombone fundamentals, even the What I Love About series. He's talked about the actual business of music, chord progression. So you got to go back because it's a treat to get that. But if you don't know who he is, he's a jazz trombonist, and he's worked with us here at Clearwater Jazz Holiday outreach programs. He's in the schools. He's in the trenches. He is out here educating the younger generation about this beautiful music called jazz. So he's also an instructor of music at the University of Tampa. And he's presently teaching Intro to Jazz and so much more. And he has his Bachelor's of Arts in Music from FSU, or the Florida State University, I think that's what they say, and a Master's of Music and Jazz Studies from the University of South Florida. So without any further delay on my part, I present to you the great Tyler Wertman. Stage is all yours.
Mr. K, thank you so much. Again, we cannot do this without you. When you mention those professional educators, you, sir, are just as much part of that as we are. So again, in case you guys don't know, he is one heck of a trumpet player. So if you guys have any questions as well, he can answer those. Okay, so today, like Mr. Cernotto was saying, is all about when the Saints go marching in, not just about when the Saints, but the trombone approach. And with this tune in particular, it dates, historically back before jazz. Okay, it started in the churches, right? When the Saints go marching in. It's a joyous tune because, at the end of our lives, when the Saints go marching in to those pearly gates, we want to be right there, right? Marching in with them. And so that's this whole music, is very joyous, especially in jazz. So we need to sort of implement these things a few different ways here. Okay, so again, before jazz. So what does that mean when pertaining to how to play? So we can't implement or play or use, or we shouldn't use, should I say, any modern, ideas from the bebop era. For instance, maybe some, chord progression type things here and there might be useful, but it's important when to play this music to historically play in that era. Okay, so if we're playing, this generation of tune that was around or in the early stages of this music, doesn't necessarily make sense to play, all this hard bop or bebop or modal, avant-garde, atonal stuff over the tune. That's your decision. And again, that's what makes this music so expressive. What we choose to do is completely personal, but that is something to keep in mind is what era, is the music that I'm reading and playing and performing, and understanding that era is really important to your playing, or it can be. Maybe you're thinking about these things already. Maybe you're not thinking about these things. Okay, and so if you're not, this is something to approach, listen to, and think about. Because if you only know, well, maybe 5 trombonists that were around in, the swing period, 2 trombonists maybe in the hard bop period, and 7 trombonists in the bebop period, but you're anything prior to 1940s, you can't give me a name. Well, then maybe when you try to play and approach some of this earlier music, it's going to be tough, because you're going to sound like those 10, 15, 20 guys that were around past this era. Okay, so always listen to different eras. Okay, it's not always about modern and new music. We need to be well-rounded as musicians. And just like well-rounded musicians, we need to be well-rounded people. That's how we get to our heavenly reward at the end. So again, saints, with the trombone, it's really fun because we get to use and utilize the entire slide. This early music was often played on the backs of tailgates in trucks coming into town, maybe spreading a message. Maybe they were sponsored, maybe they were hired to do this as well. And the trombone player would often sit in the back, because that's the only place that this instrument could really fit. And it is very, very long, guys. And so when they're playing back here, they can do these growls, these glisses, these from their furthest slide position all the way in. And you might hear this in the early styles. Again, this is sort of referencing tailgate trombone, which is a big part of the New Orleans tradition of just trombone playing. It's one style of playing, just like swing, just like hard bop, just like bebop, right? And historically, it is important to understand your instrument's purpose for the tune that you're playing, right? So for the Saints, go march again. Now, how often as a trombone player are we really going to play that melody? Not too often, right? That is, with a melody, historically, in this New Orleans tradition, is generally played by the trumpet, by the cornet, because it's a little brighter, it's louder, it's higher pitched. And so that ear can reference that quicker than maybe something middle or in the lower spectrum harmonically. So when we're playing this tune, it's important to always reference that melody and listen to how your cornet or trumpet player is approaching that, right? Is he more articulate? Is he maybe playing more blues over the top? All these things are things to reference in your playing as well. But never sacrifice 2 things: time first and foremost, never sacrifice the time. I don't care if you're playing necessarily wrong notes, but if you're playing in time, we can live with that and we can work with that. Okay. And again, form. Okay. So when do we move to the 4 chord, right? When are we going to our 5 chord? Those things are really, really, really important. Time and form. And that generally should be, what we're focusing on when we're playing anyway, in that order. Again, I'll hear guys often play with misjudged time. I don't want to say poor time, because they might be in another state of mind when they're thinking of a certain idea or lick that might fall nicely over these sets of changes, but they'll sacrifice some time. They might come in a little late, not on purpose. And by doing that, again, I would rather hear, accurate time, imposed time with maybe a couple wrong notes than the other way around. So when we're playing, always focus on that form and the tempo. Okay, so instead of, we're kind of going to be playing in between the tuba line, which is 1 and 5 generally. Okay, and between more of a counter melody / tailgate trombone style for this melody. So 1, 2, 1. So it's important to understand what may be there when you're performing and what may be not there. Maybe you don't have a bass holding that 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. And maybe you need to impose some more of that bass or the root harmony on top of it. Maybe you have a bass player or a sousaphonist there who's incorporating those, those roots, those fifths. And so then you can branch off of maybe what your melody player is doing. And again, generally it's the cornet, trumpet. Sometimes it's the clarinet, right? And those two instruments, the clarinet, cornet, clarinet, trumpet, they interact very melodically. Okay, so if one's playing the melody, the other is playing a counter melody line, okay, that is flourishing around the melody. So you need to pick your spots, right? You can't have too many people up there flourishing because it gets very busy. So you have to have someone locking in what the roots essentially are, so we can hear that tonic, hear the harmonic progression of the tune. And you need that rhythm. Now, if you notice, I'm not playing I mean, that's nice, right? But what I'm playing, it has some rhythm. Something of the sort. But you have to have syncopation. Why? Because syncopation gives the music some bounce. It gives the music some life, right? And again, at the end of our journey, we want that reward, right? We want to be in that, in those spirits. So bring some of that energy into your articulations, into your syncopations. It's going to help. If you're having trouble doing that, well, then you need to get out there and listen to some more music. You need to get out there and experience some things. Maybe you just need to get out there and take a dancing lesson, right? And maybe gain some other benefits of bodily tempo, because as your body feels this music, you're going to internally feel some different things as well. Okay, so I'm not telling everyone to take dancing classes, okay, but it is something to think about, right? If you're trying to gain something else rhythmically and what you're doing here maybe isn't working, or maybe here isn't working, find some other paths. Don't just, keep on nailing down the same road, achieving these same results and expecting different results. That is not going to help, okay? And so Saints, it's a fun tune, right? In New Orleans, it's a tune, most children don't remember learning. They just hear it. They pick up their instruments. They learn it. It's a part of that culture. Okay. Yes, there's improvisation, often done over this tune. We'll have to talk about that for another time. But generally, when playing trombone over Saints, it's important, right, to keep in mind of that time. Always, always, always keep the time. Never lose your downbeats, because that will lose not life to the music, but it drastically changes things. We cannot have that. Okay. And besides time, you said it, the second thing was that form. Okay. Keeping track of where we are harmonically in the piece, because then having that strong knowledge, strong associations with certain chord types, we can then be confident, right? And this tune doesn't move around too much generally. So maybe we'll have another class on how to improvise over the Saints. But, when playing trombone, you need to be able to play a bass line, right? Play that bass, that stringed upright, that sousaphone bass line. You need to be able to play that tailgate style, right? To get around these changes. Somewhat improvising, but somewhat utilizing that slide glissando with, flutter tongue growling, things of that nature, bends, scoops, falls. Again, if you still are having trouble referencing what tailgate trombone is, please, please, please go and listen to the early recordings, right, of this music to help with those things. And again, associating what the main melody and how the main melody is being played to your own playing. Okay, is it very flourished up top? Well, maybe I want to play something in the middle, maybe more glissando if he's playing more articulate. Okay, or is he playing a line where I can also play, and maybe harmonize in thirds? Again, these choices are going to be up to you on the bandstand. So now is the time to practice all of these different scenarios. Okay, so when the time comes, you are ready. Now, Mr. Kernodle, do you have fun playing this tune when the Saints go marching in?
I absolutely do. It's one of the faves. It depends on your audience too. I do like that you reference that, the church reference, because this is I guess you could say a staple in the church. That's where this song came from. But I notice anytime I'm in New Orleans, I'm destined to hear this, and so many different types of ensembles. I like that you reference, hey, trombone player may have to play this bass line. Because, what if you're out there with the trumpet, a sax, trombone, and a drummer? So playing your position on that, I love that. But yeah, this is always a crowd pleaser. And you did mention keeping the beat, keeping it up tempo. This is not a song that you want to play that is going to be a drag at all. Right. It's also been a great closer for a concert, or even an opener. The audience, they love it. They get up and they move. If we're not connecting with our audience, what are we doing, right?
Absolutely. And there is that interaction. Oh, when the Saints And they respond, "Oh, win the Saints," and it's fun. That's a part of the tune, I think.
Yep, that call and answer. You're exactly right, Tyler. So, what a wonderful song, and what wonderful insights you've given us. As a trombone player, the different ways you can approach that. So, I really enjoy this session today. So, if you're here in the chat, let's clap it up for Professor Tyler Wertman, or maybe you're going to watch this later on in our archives. Only thing we're asking is that you share, because guess what? This is free. Somebody's actually investing in your music education. So whether it's a seasoned musician or maybe a beginner you think that may enjoy what you saw today or what you heard today, just simply hit that share button and we'll take it from there. Now, if there's a topic we haven't discussed, or maybe you just want to give us some feedback on this one today, we would love to hear back from you. You can email us at info@clearwaterjazz.com. So I think this is it for today. I think I'm ready to pull out my trombone and go practice and get out there on the street and just entertain. So thank you again.
That's it. Make some money, man. Go ahead.
Yeah,
nothing wrong
that's
with it.
The way to go. So thank you so much, Tyler Wertman, Professor. It's been another great session. I've been your host, Michael Kernodle. And until next time, everybody, like we always say around here, keep it swinging. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.